When a historic snowstorm strands a high-powered CEO in a small Minnesota town, she finds herself on an unexpected journey of redemption and love. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, a steady but unsettling announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, we will not be landing in Minneapolis due to the historic snowstorm. We're making an unscheduled landing in a smaller town. Helen Foster, a renowned businesswoman, felt a pang of annoyance. She had meetings lined up, deals to close, and no time for delays. But as the plane touched down and the passengers disembarked into the blinding snow, she knew this wasn't just any delay, it was an unexpected detour. The tiny terminal was chaos, families huddled together, children crying, and travelers milling about, trying to figure out their next move. Helen, usually the picture of poise, felt a sense of unease. She had always relied on her carefully crafted schedule, and this storm was a wild card. As she stepped outside, the cold bit into her cheeks. A kind-faced older woman approached her, holding a steaming cup of cocoa. "Here, dear," she said. "You look like you could use this." Helen accepted the cup, feeling a warmth spread through her that had nothing to do with the drink. The woman introduced herself as Martha, a local who often volunteered at the airport during bad weather. "I run a small bed and breakfast just down the road," Martha said. "It's cozy and I've got plenty of rooms. You're welcome to stay as long as you need." Helen hesitated, her first instinct to decline. But one look at Martha's genuine smile, and she found herself nodding. The bed and breakfast was a charming old house, filled with the scent of pine and fresh-baked cookies. Martha led her to a room upstairs, the walls adorned with family photos and hand-knitted quilts. Helen felt a strange sense of comfort, like she had stepped into a different world, one that moved at a slower, gentler pace. That night, as she lay in bed listening to the snowfall outside, she thought about her life back in the city, the constant meetings, the relentless pursuit of success, the endless stream of demands. She had built an empire, but at what cost? The next morning, Helen woke to the smell of pancakes and the sound of laughter downstairs. She joined Martha and a few other guests in the cozy kitchen, the table laden with a hearty breakfast. As they ate, Martha shared stories about the town, its people, and its traditions. Helen listened, captivated by the simplicity and warmth of it all. She found herself wanting to know more, to experience more. Over the next few days, Helen helped Martha with various tasks around the bed and breakfast. She swept the porch, helped with the laundry, and even baked a batch of cookies that turned out surprisingly well. Each small task felt like a piece of a puzzle she hadn't known she was missing. She met the townsfolk, who welcomed her with open arms. There was Old Man Thompson, who ran the local hardware store and had a story for every tool. Mrs. Harper, the librarian who knew every book by heart, and young Lily, the baker's daughter who had a smile that could light up the darkest room. Helen found herself looking forward to these interactions, to the simplicity and authenticity of them. One evening, as Helen sat by the fire with Martha, the older woman turned to her with a soft smile. "You know, Helen," she said, "sometimes the best gifts come in the most unexpected packages." Helen looked at her surprised. "What do you mean?" she asked. Martha's eyes twinkled with wisdom. "This storm, this detour, it's not just about the snow. It's about the chance to slow down, to connect, to remember what's truly important." Helen felt a lump form in her throat. She had come to this small town expecting a delay, but she found so much more. She found kindness, community, and a sense of belonging she hadn't known she was missing. As the snow finally began to melt and the roads cleared, Helen knew she couldn't just go back to her old life. She had been given a gift, a chance to change, to grow, and she was determined to make the most of it. Just as she was saying goodbye to Martha, they were interrupted by a phone call. Martha's face lit up as she listened, and when she hung up, she turned to Helen with tears in her eyes. "That was the hospital," she said. "They've been trying to reach me. It's my grandson. He's been in an accident." Helen's heart went out to Martha, and she immediately offered to drive her to the hospital. As they sped through the no-clear roads, Helen felt a newfound sense of purpose. She had come to this town as a stranger, but she was leaving as a friend, a helper, and a changed woman. When they arrived at the hospital, Helen stayed by Martha's side, offering support and comfort. The doctors assured them that Martha's grandson would be fine, and as they sat in the waiting room, Helen couldn't help but feel grateful for the detour that had brought her here. As they left the hospital, Martha turned to Helen with a heartfelt smile. "Thank you, Helen," she said. "You've been a blessing in disguise." Helen smiled back, knowing that the blessing went both ways. As she boarded her flight home, Helen carried with her a newfound sense of peace and purpose. She had come to this small town expecting a delay, but she found a gift of redemption, of love, and of the power of unexpected connections. And she knew that she would never forget the storm that changed her life.